I know a lot of you probably thought I was younger than our previous president, really, until I put these cheaters on. But seriously, thank you all for being here. I guess with U of L playing a couple blocks away, we have either a lot of U of K fans here, or a lot of U of L non-season ticket holders. And for those ticket holders who must have given their seats away, I will be brief, so that we can all watch the game at the conclusion of this ceremony. I would like to acknowledge the people sitting at my table tonight. You have met my father, the past president. My dad was in this business for 45 plus years. And I can remember going to work with him when I was about 8 years old. My first job was climbing into crawl spaces of houses under construction, and cleaning up framing scraps and various debris. I learned quickly that in an age before portalets were on job sites, you never wanted to closely examine the contents of what might be inside an empty mailbox or a drywall bucket. As an added bonus, he would allow my brother Mark and I to keep all the empty returnable Coke bottles we were able to collect on the dirt piles. I've swept out many of houses for this slave driver, and for that I'm grateful. Grateful for being brought up in this business the correct way, learning to do the lesser rewarding task so that when I began to build on my own, I wouldn't forget but appreciate all the many facets that go into building a home. My mother Joy has been and still is selling real estate for what seems like my entire life. More than anything, she has taught me perseverance. I warn you now, if any of you, by some remote chance, find yourself on a contract to buy a home that she has listed, come hell or high water, you will close on that home. My mother-in-law, Phyllis McCoy, has always been like a second mother to me. And her deceased husband, Brian S. McCoy, was a special person in my life that I will never forget. I also have my cousin, Connie Coleman here, who owns and operates Anatola Interiors, and another cousin, Dana Braun, who growing up was a big sister I never had. She is accompanied by her husband, Dennis, who has always been a good friend, and fellow builder, Bill Wilkinson, and his wife, Nancy, were able to join us. Their kids and ours have spent so much time together at Lake Cumberland that they are almost like family. And last but not least, my lovely wife of 28 years, Janice. She holds a master's degree in architecture and is currently working on a second master's in planning and urban design. Upon graduation this spring, she has informed me that there will be no more tuition, at least for a couple of years anyway. She is not completely warm to the idea of calling me Mr. President for the next 365 days. I have two sons that were not able to be here tonight because they are working with actual paying jobs, either out of the country or out of state. And as their father, who no longer financially assists them, I highly suggested that they not risk their employment by taking off work and trying to be here. I have two daughters that I'm very proud of, and they're currently in school, hopefully studying, at Texas Christian University. A short story about my youngest daughter. Being the youngest and the last to go away to school, she wanted to demonstrate her independence in a unique way by telling me that she was not going to communicate with me in any way or fashion until mid-semester. And at that time, she would write me a lengthy letter describing her current experience. Sure enough, 10 weeks later, I got my letter. Dear Dad, what an interesting time I've had at school. Being a fashion design major, I decided I could individually express myself by cutting most of my hair and dyeing the remainder a bright bright pink. I've started dating a cute boy whose parole officer says he has tons of potential. Got a little fender bender, and the mechanic says that the car may not be completely totaled. I've got a D average in chemistry, and I've joined a new club on campus called the Young Socialist. I miss you in mom bunches, and one other thing. Everything in this letter is allowed, except the D in chemistry. I tell this story because it's a story about perspectives, keeping things in perspective. The D in chemistry is bad, but things could obviously be worse. No other industry, in my opinion, has been hit as hard as home building. My business, like a lot of yours, has been turned upside down the last 3 years. I've been told that if your business is still operating in today's climate, consider yourself a success. Will things continue to rebound in 2012? No one knows. But what I do know, and try to constantly remind myself, is that in the midst of all this, I need to keep things in perspective. I've got many blessings in my life. We've all got many things to be grateful for. The challenges our businesses face would be even greater were it not for the efforts of the Home Builders Association of Louisville. This organization, with a staff of 12 people, total over 140 years of experience. Most trade magazines don't include the city of Louisville as a top 50 housing market. And yet we are the second largest association, as has been mentioned, in the nation, and have been for the last 2 years. This year, Chuck Kavanaugh, as has been mentioned, REO, will be elected president of the Executive Officers Council for the National Association of Home Builders. John Miranda is now membership chairman of the National Association of Home Builders. We're well represented and highly regarded on a national level. And on a state and local level, our association has a voice that demands attention about concerns of our industry, whether it be through committees of land development, governmental affairs, codes and standards, or commercial council. When I think about past presidents, the people who make up our board of directors and chair our numerous committees, and the many people who volunteer countless hours serving our association, I find myself proud and at the same time honored to be a part of all this. Once again, thank you all for being here, and I'm sure that tonight the Cards will be victorious over not one, but many SEC opponents they face this season.